Hello and welcome to today's video. This is one of the top things that I hear from writers when I'm mentoring them at my agency or in my course, the Content Business Blueprint. And that is, how do you get around procrastination, right? Because we all have that feeling of getting ready to write and you get your desk ready and you got your coffee and you're going to have a good day. You've gotten a good night of sleep. And then for whatever reason, when you actually sit down to write something, you are like, I can't do it. There's no words to be found. And or right, you're walking by the room in your house or a kitchen, or you see the TV on, or you see a text come in, and you're like, yes, okay, let me just check this for a few minutes. And then before you know it, it's been 15 minutes or an hour, or it's 3 p.m. and you're like, where did my day go? So I have found some amazing practices that help with this. If we haven't met yet, then my name is Jessica Johnson, and I am a content marketer and writer mentor. I own a content agency, and I grew my business to multi six figures even in the first year. And so I heard from so many people wondering how they could do the same and how they could create more location freedom in their life and be able to be their own boss, that I distilled everything I knew into one 8-week program where I get to mentor writers and help them learn to write and build their businesses as well and scale to that 6-figure mark. So I've got a lot going on, and that's why I have a lot of tricks to manage my time really well and to rarely feel procrastination. I tend to really know exactly what to get into on a day-to-day basis, but that's because I've learned these tricks that I'm going to share with you today. So I hope they help you. All right. The first one is to be really clear what you want to work on when you get into your day. What I do is I spend a little time every morning deciding what I'm going to try and do, even before lunch and then after lunch. So it almost gives this urgency in a way, not in a way that feels bad, but that feels motivating, of like, okay, I've got a few solid hours. So here's what I'm going to try and get done before lunch. And I'll buffer a little more time, but I'll expect, okay, that might take an hour. So I'll give myself a little extra, maybe even a 2-hour window to get that done, because it always takes longer than you think, right? But then I'm very motivated to get to my lunchtime and I've already gotten that stuff out of the way. And then I know what to do the rest of my day. So that's step number one that I think can just almost clarify for you what you want to be doing with your time and what the ultimate goal is for your day, versus just feeling like there's endless things to work on. Everything's urgent, everything's a priority. I try and be really clear when I organize that about what's truly the most important thing. And also, use your time to your advantage, your energy. So for me, I put the harder things at the start of the day because I know that that's when I'm going to have the most energy to do them. I put the easier things or the nice to get tos at the end of the day or even to the next day, right? Because I know that if I can only get through a certain amount of things today, these are the things that I want to for sure work on. And the others that take less brain effort or that aren't as critical, I can get to them tomorrow or later today, and it's not going to be as crucial, and I'm not going to need my energy to be as high to do it, right? So that's your first little trick, is to really be intentional with your time buckets and how you're going to spend your morning and how you're going to spend your afternoon and what is most deserving of your time and your priorities and your attention. All right. So that's step number one. Then what I do is I set small intervals to work on things. So it can be really daunting looking at a 4-hour window of time and thinking, I need to write a blog post for the next 4 hours. And I've got to sit my booty down and not go anywhere and not get a snack and not get another coffee. Like, oh, that does not sound good, right? To anyone, even if you love writing, which I do. So what I do instead is I break projects or time intervals into smaller sections where I may say, okay, I have this blog post to write. I'm not going to do anything else for the next 20 minutes, right? Or I'm not going to stop until I get through 3 paragraphs. And then I can check my phone, or then I can check my email, then I can go look at the news or whatever, right? But I don't let myself get distracted until that interval is done. And this is kind of ties into my next one because they're closely related. And that is, I'm very intentional and ninja-like about turning off distractions during my writing period. So close other browser tabs, silence or put your text messages on do not disturb. Don't go and get any notifications from your social media apps. So I pretty much turn them off on all the apps. And that way I feel like I can go into the apps when I want to, but I'm not distracted or pulled into things throughout the day, or when I don't want to be pulled in by the latest social media, buzz, right? So you can, if you don't want to turn off the notifications, which I do recommend, you can turn your phone over, you can keep it in your kitchen or in another room. But that's a really big one for making sure that when you give yourself these time intervals, you aren't immediately pulled into something that's a little more enticing, or you don't get your first 5 minutes in and then there's a text that comes through and you're like lost for the next 10 minutes, right? Because it takes time to get back into things. And when you procrastinate, you're almost always just looking for the easier out because it's easier and it feels better than having to sit and use that brain power, right? So what you can really do to help yourself is to give yourself small time intervals, even if it's 15 minutes, and say, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to write and I'm not going to look at my phone, and I'm going to have it in the other room or turned over. And I'm just going to get these 3 paragraphs done. And once I'm done with that, I can go do what I want to do for a few minutes, right? So that kind of helps. And it also plays into this notion of reward, where you don't need to give yourself this huge reward every time you write something, or you could be breaking the bank pretty soon, but you can give yourself little rewards, even just as little as checking Instagram. So these all tie together, but basically this is part of my process sometimes, especially if it's a harder project or one that I'm having a harder time getting into the groove on. I will go and I will say, okay, for 15 minutes, I'm going to write, and I won't stop writing until I'm done with these 3 paragraphs. After that, I can go check Instagram really fast, right? And then I stop the clock, I check my Instagram, I kind of get that little hit of whatever the feeling is, right? That you're like, oh, okay, I got my little buzz from social media. Then I go and I do the same thing. And I say, great, now that you've written the body of this blog post, you can go and you can add the intro and conclusion and title, and then you can go check your socials again or check your email or whatever it is. So can you see how it kind of chunks it into these really small amounts where it might not feel like a lot, but you've just written an entire blog post and it's probably taken you not that long, right? Because you've put in dedicated, focused work where you haven't allowed yourself to get distracted. And you've also been highly motivated to get done. So you can go check on the things that are pulling your attention and causing you to procrastinate to begin with. All right. So those are the main things, and you can experiment with which ones work for you. But it's essentially being really clear on what your objectives are for the day, even broken down to like parts of the day. So you feel very motivated within those windows to hit your goals and to get those things done and to make that forward progress. And just be careful not to overschedule, right? Know what you can do and buffer a little extra time for yourself, because it seems to always, you almost always need that for some reason, right? Whether it's to go back and edit or to research something a little more clearly. The more you write, the more you get to know what things take you like time wise. But I'd say in the beginning, give yourself a little extra. The second one is to set those really small intervals. So whether you do it by a period of time, certainly not even an hour, I would say 15 minutes, 30 minutes, that can be good to start with, or versus a part of a project, right? Like, I'll write this page, I'll write these 3 paragraphs, I'll write this intro and conclusion, but chunk it into really small, doable amounts that you can for sure expend your attention on for a dedicated amount of time to get those done. Make sure you turn off those notifications, right? So text messages, browser tabs, social media, I think are the biggest ones. Keep your phone in your kitchen or in another room of your house during the workday if you have to. I regularly lose my phone throughout the day, but I like that, because at the end of the day, then I go back and I catch up with everyone and I see what I've missed. And I swear I spend less time then checking emails, checking texts. I get through things so much faster because I don't have that feeling of I'm in this for 9 hours of my day constantly, right? And then the fourth one is to give yourself a little reward. So you've done the hard work. So go get a coffee, go get a glass of water. I do that a lot as my get up, kind of stretch, get my blood flowing again. You can check the socials, check your emails, whatever is going to feel like a little treat once you've done the hard work. But what this does is it really creates this positive feedback loop cycle where you know you can trust yourself to dig in. You can trust yourself to not overwork yourself, but to be able to choose intervals of time that feel good, that you can do, that you can fulfill. and that you can trust yourself to get the stuff done and keep making forward progress all throughout your day. So I think by being really dedicated with your time and intentional, you can actually get a lot more done than you think you can in a day. And that's just, I think, a skill set that's so amazing, especially as a writer, to cultivate, because you're getting billed for your time. So you want to be efficient with it. You want to be able to fit as much work as you can into a day, because that means that you get billed, or you can bill more and earn more, right? And you want to make sure that you're being the best steward of your clients' resources as well. So you are able to just get in, to get the job done, to know what you need to do, to keep things organized. But all of those really can help make it feel like so much less of a lift and more just this cadence you get into of getting into your day and knowing, this is what I'm doing this morning. I'm going to put some focused effort in for the next 20 minutes. After that, I'll get a nice little water. I'll check my emails. I'll go do another 20 minutes. And your whole day kind of gets into this flow that feels just really natural after a while, and good, where you trust yourself to get things done, you work efficiently, you make forward progress, you earn the cash money, and you build your business, and it feels great. So I hope those are helpful. I'd be curious to hear, do you have any other tips that help when it comes to procrastination? What works for you? Which one of these are you going to try? And if you are interested in learning more, you can download a free copywriter starter kit below. I will share more information in the description of this video, so you can learn my best tips to get started in building a business that gives you location freedom as your own boss. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll be back soon with more content marketing tips.